Welcome to In Deep, a podcast by Laura Enever
and myself, Flick Parmentier. Join us as we dive deep into what it takes to break the mold and have the courage to step into the unknown.
because we're all certain to get stuck in some deep shit along the way.
We're back. This is our first overseas potty. We are officially in Hawaii.
We're in Hawaii. We made it. Didn't think we were going to make it for a second. We had a few minor glitches on the road to where we are right now on the North Shore of Oahu. And how cool is this? Like, first time packing up the podcast equipment, trying to squeeze it all in a bag, wondering if it's even going to, even getting through security.
I know. Well, Laura bought a special suitcase for it, so we've got our own special podcast bag.
It's heavy just because we needed more like equipment. Usually we're traveling over here with like 8 boards, 2 10-foot boards, like freaking impact suits, wetsuits, absolutely everything. And now to chuck in another bag full of 15 kilos of podcast equipment. But hey.
I know. Here we are. We made it.
We need a Qantas sponsor.
I know. Qantas, please sponsor us. We use your airline all the time and we pay you guys so much money.
We pack far too many things. Absolutely.
I reckon we got to go over our podcast launch and just how grateful we are for everyone. Honestly, it has been so fun for us to watch the rollout and just how well received it's been. We were absolutely shitting ourselves, and yeah, it was special for us to be together for that launch.
I know, that was so cool. Like, we woke up in the morning and we posted the little video on Instagram of us like launching it at 6 a.m. and it was like the most beautiful sunrise, and we were so scared. We're like, oh my God, everyone's going to hate it.
But how special the launch was special, and it's just been, so thank you guys all so much, because it's been awesome to see everyone following along and getting involved, and yeah, it was really cool for us to be together for that. And now that we're on the road together in Hawaii, I think it was like a great way to kick off the pod together.
Absolutely. And it feels real, like coming over here now, kicking off our winter season, our big wave season. We're both heading to the Eddie Aikau ceremony tomorrow morning, and that is like a beautiful blessing ceremony. It happens every year, and this event is like such an honour to be a part of. So everyone flies from all over the world just to come to this ceremony, and it's absolutely beautiful. We'll take some videos and take you guys behind the scenes of that tomorrow, and maybe chuck that on our YouTube or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, just so cool to be doing this and on the road. Hey. And the minor glitches.
Let's get back to those.
Holy dooly. Our first trip here, it was one flight, right? Pretty seamless. Just had to get an Uber from my house to the Sydney airport. Uber comes and the guy's like, I'm not taking Flick's board in the car.
My board was a 9.8 and he just took one look at that thing and he was like, no way. Mission impossible,
and
mate.
And I told Flick, okay, we're going to leave at 5 p.m. The flight's at 8:30. And anyway, she was like, it seems a bit close. It takes an hour to get to the airport. And I was like, no. Leave at 5, get there at 6. That's 2.5 hours.
By this time,
it's
like 20 past 5.
Yeah, and
he's like, I won't take your board.
We literally had to Tetris all of our shit in the back of his car, and I was like, I will give you a great tip. Anyway, that was the first minor glitch, and then, oh my gosh, on the plane.
Even before that, I got to pop my cherry in the first class lounge.
Oh,
that was a fun little experience.
Okay, that wasn't a minor glitch. That
wasn't a glitch. Let's just go through the glitches. Okay, next glitch. Lol, that wasn't a glitch. That was the opposite of a glitch.
Oh no, Flick was absolutely loving that. The first class lounge, she sat down and was like, wait, so you can order anything off this menu and it's free, and you could just keep coming. I was like, yeah, but we just order like 2 things. Like, don't be that person with like 8 plates on your table. We just had lunch.
We were that person.
But we actually did end up with all these little, we had a little champagne and a juice, and we had tequila in the juice too. Because that was, I told Flick that's my go-to when I get there. Have a green juice. Everyone thinks you're healthy, and then
life's about balance.
It is. Balance is our favourite word at In Deep Podcast.
Yeah, it is. Then we board the plane.
We chucked some movies on. We're having a great time.
Had a little sleeping pill, like half a little sleeping pill,
and
nodded off. And all of a sudden, I wake up and I'm like, what is going on? What is doing? I'm like, have I pissed myself? Like, the whole seat underneath me was saturated. I looked over and I saw that Laura bought me this 1.5 litre water before we got on the plane.
Yeah,
we both
because
had
you have to hydrate.
Yeah, and of course, like, great thinking. But I had this thing squished in the seat back pocket, and obviously the pressure as we were like ascending.
You hadn't even had one sip out of it, had you?
It was closed, but it had, like, obviously I was so out of it from taking this sleeping tablet and it just went and all over my lap.
We literally, because we had such a good sleep, we only realised like 3 hours before the flight was landing, and I woke up the same thing, and I was like a little bit damp, and I was like, I must have had some weird night sweats, like thinking, oh shit, I'm really sticky and like a bit moist. And then I like look at Flick, and you were like,
Hey,
feel my fucking pants, and
this
they
is
were
not okay.
They were drenched.
I just had the wettest ass, the moistest ass, the soggiest ass. It was absolutely cool.
All your clothes were drenched.
And then the lovely hostess came over and she was like, right, where's the person that spilt the water? And Laura was like, oh, she didn't spill it. She didn't explode
Yeah, no,
it.
I got like quite defensive there because I asked her, I was like, excuse me, like my friend's water bottle exploded. It was 1.5 litres. She is drenched. Can we get her like something to sit on? So she got a plastic bag, and then she realised, oh, okay, I'll get you some of those little pajamas that the first class people get. And then she came back and she was like, in front of everyone, right, where's the girl that spilled all the water? And I was like, oh no, she didn't spill it. It exploded. Like
I know. Look. Yeah, appreciate you sticking up for me, sis.
I was like, we can't have everyone thinking that you just some bits that exploded, like just
kook that
spilt your water. I mean, I've done that before with a whole cup of coffee on my like.
That's what I thought. I was like, okay,
nice.
At least it's water.
Yeah.
Not beer or wine or
Totally. I've done it with a whole cup of coffee, and I think I've done it with a glass of wine. It's just gone on me. But that's why I travel in black.
Yeah, black's the best way to go. So we do that. She brings out the PJs.
Yes.
Which is like great. And she's like, why don't you just hang your clothes up? So meanwhile, I've just made like a makeshift washing line on the plane. Like all my clothes are hanging over the emergency exit.
It's like so safe. It's like Flick's made a little freaking clothesline over
my
the
leather jacket,
emergency
my little
exit.
singlet, my black long pants. Like everything's just a washing line.
Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, please look out for your exit. One of them might be covered in clothes, so beware.
And then, anyway, Bob's your uncle. It all worked out, actually, because it's so dry on the plane. Everything dried. And then, like, 20 minutes before we landed, just went in the change room, popped those on. Then we land. And we go to pick up our bags.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. And that's when your bag wasn't there. But there was someone else's bag there, one of our friends, Holly Warren, and it was the exact same bag. And we knew that she had, like, bolted and left the airport. She was out of there.
Because I was like, oh, there's my bag. Beautiful. Walked on over, looked at that, and I was like, who has sticker slapped my bag? They've sticker slapped it with a Vans.
Put a sticker on it.
Yeah, because there was a little Vans sticker on there, and I was like, someone's put a Vans sticker on my bag. It must be Holly or someone. And then I looked at the tag on the bag, and it said Holly Warren. I was like, that little bitch has got my bag. So we went down, chased my bag, we found it. Which
got your clothes back,
got my clothes, got my things, and popped in the car and drove over to the North Shore. And that's where we are now. We're actually filming in our little Airbnb, recording in our Airbnb.
Coming to Hawaii for a surfer is, it's something that we've done for so many years. I mean, I've been coming to Hawaii every year since I was 11 years old. I got invited here for Alicia Anderson Champ Camp, and it was my first time flying without my parents. I was 11 years old, and you have been coming over here as well since you were
over 15 years.
Like, I actually can't believe my parents just chucked me on a flight when I was 11 years old, and like I did one of those like unaccompanied minor flights to Hawaii, and then just got picked up by like Lisa Anderson, like Sophia Milano, all my heroes.
Yeah, all these girls are like women are world champions, like all your idols.
Champion surfers at the time, and it's like that moment in what's the Home Alone? No, what's the Christmas movie? Macaulay Culkin one.
Movies are not my strong points.
They're like the
he's
worst. Like, I've made my parents disappear. Then he starts like eating all the lollies. I was like, I
can do whatever I want.
Literally can eat whatever I want. I was like, it was so cool.
Coming to Hawaii is like Mecca for surfers. It's just everyone wants to be here. It's just that annual pilgrimage to the North Shore. It's just this big buzz, this big hype. If anyone and everyone in the surf industry is here at this time of year, there's from big wave events like the Eddie Akau ceremony to world tour stop events at Pipeline, you've got Sunset, and like to really make a name for yourself in the surf industry, you have to perform in Hawaii.
Absolutely. There's so many different events. There's like award shows, and I think it's so cool thinking back at like both of our careers, and you get to Hawaii at the end of every year and you just can like remember every sort of season of your life, from being that grommet and like surfing on the sandbars and like just running around as a little cheeky kid, and then to being a teenager, and then coming back, and then finally coming without like I had my parents come when I needed to hire a car for a couple of years for contests, and then you get to come again without your parents when you're like 16, 17 and
boys.
yeah. Ooh. like Grom comps, QSs, and then CTs, and now big wave. And it's so cool to think back at all those different phases of my life, and going from the sandbar, then going to sunset, and then finally moving over to pipe, and then like surfing Waimea finally after all those years, and just kind of working up to all those different waves and pushing yourself more as a surfer and an athlete every time you're here. It's very fun.
Yeah. So we thought today in Hawaii would be the perfect day to go into Laura's backstory, because obviously we've both got great memories here, but Laura, this is like where your world record happened, and we're back here and we're back together. And yeah, we thought we could just dive into your backstory. Let's go back right to the beginning. Like, tell us about it. Tell us about the family life, the early life, where it all began.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Let's see if we can access these memories. I was saying, we were laughing the other day. I feel like there's this big chunk of my life that just blanked out. I don't know. Maybe it was when I started just like going to too many parties or something. Yes, I grew up in Narrabeen on the Northern Beaches. I was one of those annoying little kids that just ran around 100 miles an hour, just chasing my brother, just wanted to do everything he did. He was like, we both got into gymnastics at a young age. My mum used to work at a kindy gym, and she also used to work as a part-time kindergarten teacher in like preschool. And it was cute. I actually have this photo of me when I'm like 4 or 5 years old, and it's like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I was like, a surfer or a skateboard rider. And I don't even think I did either of those sports back then. Like, I think maybe I'd surfed once with my dad on holidays, or like he'd push me in when we'd go up the coast. But yeah, similar upbringing to you, everything is revolved around the beach. My dad surfed since he was 16. My mum loves the beach. She's a full little beach bum. And all of our holidays were like four-wheel driving up the coast, camping on the beach. And so that's where like the ocean was always introduced to me and my brother as young kids. But then because mum worked as a kindy teacher and a kindergarten teacher, when I was like really little, me and my brother spent a lot of time at the gymnastics centre. And so we got super into gymnastics at a young age. Like, we were like, my brother was so good at gymnastics. He got asked to train on for like the Olympic little squad when he was like 12. Like, go to the AIS and sort of like have that trajectory to go to the Olympics one day as a gymnast. And I loved gymnastics too, but I just wasn't as naturally talented as him with it. Like my like toes didn't really properly point, and my knees like kind of were all knobbly, and like my coaches would try to get me to do like the splits and have like that hyperextending sort of leg.
Oh, that sounds hectic.
I know. They'd send me home and I'd put phone books on my knees, like
Stop
have
it.
chairs, and so they could try to be like more stretchy and like bendy.
That
But I
is
just
full on.
wasn't a naturally flexible kid. But me and my brother just loved doing like the tumbling and the backflips, and like we climb the ropes to the top of the gymnastics center and go into the foam pit, and we love doing all of those.
I feel like the adrenaline was always in you from the early age.
That's what I mean. I think that's where that sort of like risk-taking sort of began. We were doing so much gymnastics at the time, like over 20 plus hours a week in the gymnastics.
That's a lot.
Yeah, every morning and afternoon, like most afternoons, it was nuts. And then me and my brother laughed because we kind of retired from gymnastics at like
at 12?
11 years old and 13 years old. Because I'd been doing it since I was like 3 years old. So that was funny. We said we retired from gymnastics, and I just got hooked on surfing at 10, got sponsored when I was 11, and things just started rolling from there.
Tell us about you at school, sis.
Yes.
Were you, same question, were you a good girl? Were you a naughty girl? Were you leaving the class for 20 minutes to go on long walks?
Oh my gosh. When you were saying this the other day, I was cacking up because we wouldn't have been friends in high school. I was such a goody two-shoes. I was hardly ever there because I was doing 100 different sports. But when I was there, I went to a sports high school as well. Shout out Narrabeen Sports High. But was hardly ever there. But they didn't mark me away or not attending when I was at a sports event because you're at sports. So I had full attendance, and I was always just getting my assignments in on time. And when I was there, I remember coming home when I was in like year 8 and always photocopying like a friend of mine's her maths book.
Was it today or was it this morning or yesterday? I was like, you had to add something to figure out the percentage for the tip last night at dinner. And you just did this in your head, and I looked over you and I was like, hang on, were you secretly good at maths?
I actually was super shit at maths. I liked English because I liked creative writing, and I liked geography and history.
History, sis.
Yeah, I know.
Wow.
It's so random. But maths I hated, but I could work out. I can work out 20% to pay tip over here.
I can't. Hey, I just things just don't compute.
You just grab that first number and then you double it.
It's beyond me. Thank God I've got you here because otherwise,
Yeah, you'd be eating all those tea towels. When we sat, sorry to divert, but when we sat down at dinner last night, you were like, yummy, a mint. And like, basically they were these tea towels and they put them in and put a little drop of water in and they expand and turn into tea towels. And she literally was like, yummy, a mint.
Hey.
Picked it up and then he was like, no, as a tea towel. And then it like just expanded in her hand. She was like, whoa,
wow.
okay.
In my defense, guys, if you do, we have a photo of it and a video. It looks like a bloody mint.
It actually
right?
did look like a mint. It looked like one of those like cute little love heart Valentine's
Yeah,
Day
it
ones or
did,
something.
it did.
So yeah, you get off with that one, you little dits. Okay, yeah. So we wouldn't have been friends. No, we actually would have been friends, but
Would
I would.
we?
Yeah, but I wouldn't have been.
You wouldn't have been going along with my long walks out of class.
No way. So I remember one day my friend Chloe, she talks about this on her podcast, Darling Shine. But when we went to high school together. And one day she got dacked by one of the kids in our year and she was so rattled and I was like with her like running, like we went to, she didn't even go to the principal's office or like go tell a teacher. She just goes, fuck this, I'm walking home. And she just started walking home and she walked outside and I was like, oh my God, that was so, like I was just like comforting, supporting. And then we get to like the school, like out of like the school like perimeter and I was like, okay, well, this is like, she started just walking home and I was like, this is where I leave you. I'm like,
it's like the kids that say when they're little, I'm running away from home. And then they pack their bag and they get 20 metres down the street and they're like, I can't do it.
I know. And so she walked across this bridge and like, that is like out of bounds at school.
Wow.
Like you're in trouble if you go that way. And she was like, I'm leaving this school. I'm going to a different school. And she gets to this bridge and I'm like, all right, well, I'll see you after school.
Too scared.
And she was like, you're not coming with me. And I was like, I don't want to get detention.
Too scared.
Anyway, she left the school after that and I stayed and was hardly ever there. Anyway, I ended up leaving high school in year 11 because my attendance was so poor. And even though they weren't marking me unattended, I just was trying to keep up with my work doing the Pro Junior series, but I was there like 4 days in 14 weeks and at this stage, they were kind of like, you know, like you can always just do courses after if you don't finish and just run with it. I was just about to start doing the QS full time. And so my school was like, just go for it. You know, we understand. And so I jumped on the QS and literally at the end of that year when I was 17, I qualified for the tour.
Yeah, which is so young. That's like, you're not even an adult yet and you're travelling the globe on a world tour with adults and
so
competing
wild.
against adults.
Yeah, and then I think I look back at that time in my life and it felt like from being like a little grom and just getting into doing the contests between that age of like 12 and 17. I can't believe how much of a whirlwind that was in my life and how sort of quickly it all happened. And I felt like I was never actually the most sort of naturally talented surfer out there, but I had this knack for competing and I almost had this like I don't care attitude and everything for me was fun. I was like, I'm going to compete and it's fun. I don't take it too seriously and I think it almost sort of pissed my competitors off because I really didn't care if I won or lost. Like I was having so much fun doing it wherever I was going. I was, you know, that whole not serious thing and I don't care thing was almost like I just had this confidence competing.
Yeah.
And it was just, I was like, you know, I'm just going to go out there and catch 2 waves and have fun. And everything was like that. And I won Australian titles. I won the Pro Junior Series in Australia. I won the World ISA World Junior title, a WSL World Junior title.
So that's 2 World Junior titles. That's crazy.
And then qualified for the tour that next year when I was 17. I'm just on the tour. And that whole time, my whole, like up until then, like I just was just having fun, and that was kind of my approach. I remember qualifying and saying to my dad, "Oh, I don't know, I'm going to take it," you know, like kind of like that thing, you know.
Bit cool.
Well, you know, no, I was 17, just like I don't know if I'm ready for this. I just want to keep having fun. And by that stage, you know, I was such a freaking tomboy when I was 12 years old, and I think I just started finding this like feminine side of myself, and I was, you know, just wanted to almost be a normal kid for a bit longer, But then I also was just like, you know what, take this opportunity and run. You know, you might not ever qualify again. Don't be too confident.
Oh, don't be silly though.
But
you were killing it.
So yeah, I jumped on the tour and at I think I just maybe turned 18 right before my first event at Snapper. And my first ever World Tour event, I got third in it.
Yeah, which is incredible.
Yeah, and that was
Against
the whole,
your idols and people that you've looked up to your whole life.
Yeah, I remember I beat Steph, got third, and was like, whoa. And it was almost just same sort of attitude, you know, that I have nothing to lose type thing. And then after that, I went into Bells, third in the world in my first ever year on tour, had new sponsors and everything, and was just like on top of the world. And then I just lost first round that next event. Then I lost first round next event, couldn't. And then every event it was like, oh my gosh, like I'm feeling the stress and the pressure now. Oh my gosh. And it was all of a sudden, you know, I had this team around me. I had these sponsors that were like watching me. And then I had, you know, coaches that were getting paid. And I had, you know, all these people traveling with me making, you know, money from how I did in those events. And I remember all of a sudden just like feeling for the first time in my life what pressure and stress and anxiety was.
Well, it's like the expectations of the other people around you, not only yourself, and just like, oh, I'm here to have fun.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you're like representing your coach, and maybe your brother's traveling with you and your parents have come up to watch you at this event. And, you know, there's so much more expectation.
Yeah. And it fully got to me. And I remember I always kind of just shrugged it off. And so I couldn't make a heat for like 4 or 5 events in a row. So I started doing that second job, the WQS. Basically, you've got the World Tour, and then that running alongside of the World Tour is the World Qualifying Series. And so basically there's 17 girls in the World Tour. Only the top 10 qualify each year to go on to the next year. And then the next 7 girls come from the qualifying tour. So basically, if you don't make the top 10, you've got another chance at qualifying on the QS.
So the analogy is for everyone playing at home to kind of, for our listeners, to get the idea.
Yeah, basically it's like halfway through the year, you secretly start doing another job in case you get fired from your real job.
So at the same time, you're doing 2 jobs because your real job doesn't actually have security and it doesn't really have certainty. Totally. So yeah, you start doing that second job.
Yeah, I know. How fun
So
is
it's
that?
just stressful because then you've got the workload of 2 different jobs and 2 different hats. You're traveling to basically double the events than what everyone else is. If you're not in that top 5, like you kind of feel safe if you're in the top 5 of the World Tour, but underneath that you're not. And then you're doing double the workload and your kind of job is in jeopardy because a lot hangs off that, from like sponsorships to endorsements to how much money you're getting paid if you're on tour or if you're not.
I look back at my mindset that first year on tour and I just remember feeling like falling off tour was the worst thing that could ever happen. And it's so wild. I look back now and go, wow, I can't believe I just, you know, let it consume me so much and thought that it was everything to stay on tour. And I think when you're out of it, you can look back and go, oh my gosh.
But also with age, I think that happens. And I think back then it's so easy. Like you can just see that success and happiness is defined by those results. And
that's what I guess ended up happening, that my first few years on tour, I just fell into that trap, like you said. I was letting success and my results define my happiness.
Yeah.
And, you know, because of the expectation, the pressure and everything, what also came along with that was my nervous system just got shot. It's like for the first time in my life, I started feeling this pressure and this anxiety and this stress, and I did not know how to handle it. I did not know how to cope. And I wasn't talking to a sports psychologist at all. And I remember my second year on tour, I did the exact same thing. I started the year off with a second, made my first ever final at Snapper Rocks, first event on tour, couldn't make a heat for, you know, the next 8 events. And then I'm scrapping around on the QS and in the last events of the year, and I end up getting back on tour. And I ended up coming 10th on the world tour every year for 5 years. And then I got 8th one year and I got 17th the year I got injured at
So
Jaws.
let's just say for 7 years you were doing 2 jobs.
Yeah, for 7 years I was doing both of those jobs, the real one and then the backup one, and all at the same time, just
with a shot
having
nervous
some
system.
having some amazing moments on tour, having some incredible results, but my mindset was just cooked. Like I just look back and I'm like, that poor young girl, like I should have got help from a sports psychologist, but mental health wasn't really talked about, and I just could not cope with the pressure and the stress. And to the point where I'd come in and just go, whoa, like I don't even know who this person is right now. I was just floating around like trying to surf, but just like sometimes having panic attacks in heats. And It was just intense. And then I remember one year my second or third year on tour, I remember like calling my mum and dad and I was like, I'm gonna pay $800 for this sports psychology course, and I'm gonna be my own.
Oh, you're gonna be your own sports psychologist?
Yeah, I was like, I'm gonna be my own sports psychologist, and that was just
the idea was
ridiculous.
there. I guess like deep down you knew that something was not right.
Yeah, I just knew that. I was like, where is this person that used to compete with no like? And I was like, she'd just gone.
It's kind of like as soon as you qualified for the tour, like the fun, the happiness, like because there is more expectation. Don't get me wrong, the tour is an amazing place to be and it's a great job, but there is a lot of pressure and expectation, then sacrifice and dedication that comes with that.
Totally.
And then the pendulum just shifted and it just swung. And then from an outsider, well, not, there amongst it as well, but from me watching you, and I said it to you this morning when we were kind of talking about this, was like it was either like you were going to paddle out in a heat and get a 10-point ride, which is the best wave you can possibly get, or a 2. It was just crazy. Like you would have this incredible performance, like in Fiji at Cloudbreak, and it would be like she got a 10, or next week in wherever she would like lose with like a total of 2, and it was just like, whoa, how could it be so much like different?
One year, one of my coaches actually dropped me because he said it looked so bad for him
What?
that I was like doing either so good or so bad. It's like I would go out and, like you said, have an amazing heat, then the next heat literally get a total of like 3 or 4. And he told my manager at the time was it looks bad on my behalf as a coach to have. And
that
I was
is
like,
actually
I was
cool.
like, whoa, I'm such.
Well, okay, one, what a not good thing to say to someone, and also
Anyway.
what moment you obviously realised that your nervous system was
Yeah,
shot. Like,
exactly.
where was the
and
moment
that was the other thing, because my nervous system was fucked. I was getting sick constantly.
Yeah.
And I remember, also one year my coach was like, what is going on with you? And I had no energy. I had like complete adrenal fatigue. I was like on antibiotics like every second event. I was having chest infections, sinus infections, had to get sinus surgery. Like I just was constantly sick and trying to travel the world and do all these events and just running off adrenaline that my whole nervous system ended up just crashing at I think it was the end of my 3rd or 4th year on tour. And I just remember getting so sick. I got glandular fever, couldn't get out of bed, basically had chronic fatigue, almost like was just so fucked. And was like, whoa, it shouldn't be like this. Like, what is going on with me? And I ended up finding an amazing holistic health doctor that did tests on me and was like, you need to completely reset your whole, like, basically diet, body. Like I'd get cramps in my stomach in heat.
I feel like it was all stress induced.
It was all stress induced. I remember getting home one year and after I sort of realised that, wow, like you're actually, this isn't right. Like, so I did a lot of work on myself, a lot of work trying to just like calm down and mindset work. And I remember my body would start shaking when I go to turn into the car park at Narrabeen. Like I just had this like uncontrollable shaking,
like reaction to
full
just
reaction,
pulling into the car park. I mean,
it was like,
what was
so
the
bizarre,
exact moment
like,
that you were like, no, things need to change? When did the pendulum swing? Because right now you're obviously such a different person. You've pivoted as well.
gosh.
Like,
I look back and
what was the moment?
I just want to give that little girl a hug and be like, you are, and it was so hard because my dad was like, Laura, you're on the world tour, you're living like such a dream job, like how is this even happening? And I was like, I don't know, like I literally couldn't control it. And it wasn't until I started speaking to amazing psychologists and started working like holistically on my nervous system and what I needed to do to get back and find that kid again and that fun person that I was. And I think outside of competing, I probably started partying a bit too much and, having that bit too much fun and, drinking a bit too much just because I was just trying to, escape that.
Yeah.
Like, escape what was going on.
Escapism for sure.
Yeah, and it's just, the pendulum really swung when I started getting proper help and started realising you need to find the fun in this again. Like I remember one year, I went to Bali with my family and I didn't surf once the entire trip and I just told my parents I need a proper break and when I come home, I'm going to like just have times when I go out and surf for fun because that's what I've done since I was a little kid. That's what we grew up having so much fun. And then, then I'm going to do my work and do my, my comp stuff and my training and that's all going to be a different thing. But we're going to have an on-off switch that we go out and we surf for fun and then we switch it and we go out and we train and it's just that balance. And that was kind of when I sort of fell in love again with surfing. But then I also realised, hey, because you're doing the qualifying series and the tour at the same time, you're doing 20 comps a year, I was like, when was the last time you got barreled in like 3 years? And I just started thinking, wow, I used to love surfing big waves. I used to love, that feeling of being out and
You've
bigger
always
surf.
pushed yourself.
I always pushed myself. I did all these amazing surf trips before I qualified for the tour, and I was pushing myself in big waves. And then the first few years on tour, like, we were kind of always in pretty shitty waves. And like, I just don't remember ever
You didn't get
really
the opportunity.
surfing.
That one time at Cloudbreak, you got the opportunity.
But that was
epic.
that was amazing. And that's when I realized, oh my gosh, you're missing this whole cup of like soul surfing that you need to go and like reconnect with. And so I remember one year on tour, I was like, in between every event, I'm going to go chase a swell. And then I also decided that if I won or I lost, I wasn't going to get emotional about it. Winning doesn't make you a better person, and losing doesn't make you a worse person. You cannot define your happiness off results. You cannot, you just can't. Like yourself. I just
It's a
had
fleeting
to do,
thing, right?
Yeah.
And you think about being on tour and at that elite level, how often are you really winning? Like at the end of
Absolutely.
each
You
contest,
lose
there's
way
only
more
one
than-
winner.
Yeah, and the thing was, I was okay. I was okay with losing, but if my mindset was fucked and I knew that I was being really mean to myself and saying horrible things and my self-worth wasn't there, I was angry with myself and I was so hard on myself, and I just hated that person that was going on in my head, like just saying really mean things to myself and being so hard on her. And I remember someone saying, like a psychologist saying, treat yourself and speak to yourself how you would speak to your friends. And I was like, whoa, yeah. Like I literally was tearing myself to shreds inside, and I had like my self-worth was so low, and that's why I was basing my happiness on results. And once I dropped all that, started going on these like big wave surf trips in between events, I was back. I'd filled my cup up, and that's when the results started coming, and I was just having so much more fun competing again. And this was the same year that, like this same year when all of this, everything felt like it was coming together again on tour. I'd done all the work. I was surfing these big waves between events. That's when I got the call from Peter Mel to say, do you want to come and be in the first ever women's event at Jaws? I remember just absolutely shitting myself and being like, okay, I've been surfing these big waves all year, but I don't know if I'm ready for Jaws.
Yeah.
And I remember just like going, oh, am I going to go? Am I not? And ended up going and surfing in the event, and just decided, look, just go there, make your mind up when you're there. And I feel like you were there and you were charging in the first heat, and I was like, oh no, we were in the first heat together.
We were in the first heat together.
Oh my gosh. So we paddled out together in that first heat, and
absolutely shitting
oh
ourselves.
my
I was shitting myself, but I was
gosh. But we were sitting on like different, I remember we were sitting on like different boats kind of doing our own thing.
And how funny is it that we still were sort of competing? It was where the walls started to break down. But I remember thinking, okay, I'm glad Laura's in my heat because it makes me feel comfortable knowing that you're there. Isn't that weird that knowing that just, yeah, it's just a funny.
Yeah, I felt this like sense of safety because you were out there with me. I was like, oh my gosh, Flick's here, like, let's go. And ended up eating shit on my first wave, paddled for this wave, was not into it, stood up and then just like jumped over the falls and like
of a 30-foot wave.
Oh gosh, what put that video in there? It's horrible, absolutely horrible. I think my mum was watching at home thinking,
Laura died.
Yeah, literally, Laura died. What the hell has just happened? But then I popped up quite easily from that and was like fine. I was like touching my body, going, got a leg, got everything's here still. Like, holy crap, I'm okay. Whoa,
Yeah.
Paddle back out and was like, do you remember seeing me go over on that one?
I think you paddled, but I was already at the back. So I was already at the back, so I didn't know what happened. I was just like, shit, did Laura just go to her death? Like, because I didn't see you right out in the channel. And I just remember being like, holy shit, she went over the falls. This is heavy. And then I just remember seeing the jet ski bring you out to the channel. I was like, oh, she must be okay. And then you paddled her back out like, da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah, and then we like swung and went on that same wave where I dropped in on you. And then I fell on that wave and I kind of ate shit on that wave, and either when I was underneath the water on that one or I came up and got the next wave on the head, one of those waves when I was underwater, my knee tweaked and I tore my MCL. Oh. And so because the adrenaline was pumping through my body so much, I didn't even really know. I felt like the twang was like, ow, that kind of hurt, but I was just like, get out the back again and paddled back out, and I got out the back and sat out there and was like, whoa, my knee really hurts. Like I actually can't really move it. Went back to the boat and they looked at my knee and then it just started like blowing up. And so I made the final from those two waves.
Didn't you have to pull out?
Yeah. The more I sat on the boat, the more it just like blew up, got the scans. It was maybe a grade 2 or 3 MCL tear, and usually that's like 4 months out of the water.
Which really that impedes on your CT
Yeah, because
career.
basically I had to miss the first 2 events the next year, and there was another girl that got hurt that was higher on the rankings than me. So she got the injury wild card, and so then I fell off tour that next year. But it was just wild because the whole time when I was injured, I wasn't thinking about getting back on tour. It was like that day at Jaws changed me. It changed me forever. And then whenever I went back to an event after that, whether it was like, you know, any sort of event on tour that year, I just was thinking about big waves. And I remember being at events looking at the swirl forecast everywhere around the world at every other wave that I wasn't at going, oh my God, I could be getting barreled there. I should be there. And I just realized, oh my gosh, like,
You got big wave brain.
I've got big wave brain. I just was like, I've got to go. I just wanted to go back to Jaws, and I wanted to go do that. And I think my parents thought after I got injured at Jaws that I was going to be done with big wave surfing.
That's just a fun thing she did once,
Oh,
and
yeah,
now she's
cool.
going back to the tour.
Yeah, well, you tried that one. Didn't really work out. You blew your knee to pieces. So back to the tour you go. And I was like, no, I'm going back to Jaws, and I want to do big wave surfing. And that was just like such a freaking crossroads for me, and I ended up just going for it the next year. I was so stubborn. I was like, no, I'm not doing any contests. I'd already fallen off tour, but I just said I'm not going to do the qualifying tour. I'm just going to go chase these swells around Australia. That's when I made my documentary Undone. We just started sort of filming to see what would happen. Went and surfed these slabs down at ship sterns. Went around there and
Went across to WA too.
Yeah, went across to WA. That was scary. Yeah, when I went back to the tour, I was just like, nah, that's it. And just that's when the whole big wave career kicked off. 2018 was probably like one of the hardest years for me because I decided to go into big wave surfing and leave behind the tour. And then that year shit was just not like going well. I'd had a couple of crazy wipeouts. I was turning up to all these big wave spots. But I was getting like the wipeout of the day, and I felt like everyone was thinking, you know, like, what is she doing? Like, just, I don't know, I felt like people.
Bit of imposter syndrome.
Yeah, I mean,
maybe.
I had massive imposter syndrome, but I was just kind of like being resilient, going, no, this is like, you got to stick to why you want to do this. Like, this is what you want to do. Like, you can do this. But I started still sort of trying to prove myself too much to other people.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I wanted to prove to my sponsors and my family and everyone that I hadn't made the wrong decision, and that, you know, this was, you know, what I was doing and it was the right decision. I think at the same time they just made equal prize money on the world tour. And so I was like, you know, I
Is
decided.
this the right decision?
Yeah. And I was just kind of going for it, and just, I think I said it in the first episode, you know, spending all my money on traveling to these big wave spots and then all the rest of my money on rehabbing injuries because I was just getting absolutely belted. And then at the same time, I think in my head, I was just trying to prove to everyone that I'd made the right choice. And then I just realized, like, oh my gosh, you're falling into the same fucking trap that you're falling into on tour.
Yeah,
like
expectations of others.
Yeah, like, fuck what anyone else thinks of you. Like, you're doing this for you. You decided to leave for you. Like, do not, like, fall back into that shit that you were in, like, that mindset that you had when you first got on tour. Just do this for you. Do this for fun. I don't even, at this stage, I was like, I don't even care I make a cent from big wave surfing. You know, I just wanted to do it for my heart and soul. Like, I felt like I just lost myself so heavily competing that I just was finally taking my power back, and I was trusting myself and making my own decisions. And that for me has been what big wave surfing has been, just like, you know, truly doing it from the heart. And, you know, I think as well from like a young age, when you're an athlete, you have these managers and you have these people in your life that kind of tell you what to do and tell you who to be and tell you what you should be doing. Like, I was such a tomboy when I was younger. And then, you know, by the time I was like 17, I was on the cover of Stab, like naked. And I was like, how did you go from like being this like little girl that couldn't get out of board shorts, like when you're 14, to being on the cover of Stab naked and like half naked. Sorry, I had like a jacket on and stuff.
That's for another episode.
Oh my gosh. Like, that's for another episode. And I think I felt like I'd completely lost this sense of self. And when I'd taken my power back and decided to make this massive career shift when I was 25, I think it was so empowering but so scary. And I just, you know, I felt really alone. I remember feeling super alone because I was just trying to do it myself, and I just had to remember, look, you're doing this for you. What would, like, Just find yourself, find that little girl inside and just do this for her, do this. And I think that's when when I finally stopped being like, you don't need to prove a fucking dot to anyone. Like you could lose like everything and you'd still be fine. Like you're doing this from the heart and that's what's most important. And once I decided that, it was like, I don't know, it was like the ocean. I started connecting with the ocean better and I'd go out at these waves and I just have these moments that end up becoming like super magical and special. And I was improving and I was just chipping away at my own goals and everything that I was doing I was doing it with so much purpose and following my why. And then it was just the magic started happening there and these incredible moments and started happening. I got the wave of my life here and then COVID hit. Right at that point, I remember, so I bought out Undone, my documentary.
Yeah.
And the first ever premiere we had was on the 8th of March 2020.
Right before COVID.
And we had a full tour planned. I was going to go around Oz and I was so excited because I just wanted to like go surf with so many young girls and, you know, share my story about, you know, that part of my life where I just, you know, I had to leave and go find myself again and yeah, then COVID hit. I remember like waking up the day after the premiere and it was like, COVID. Then like the whole tour got cancelled by the next weekend and I was like, whoa, this is crazy.
Wow.
And then just like went into like full COVID life, sitting at home, like making a veggie garden, trying to cook. Fuck, I'm a terrible cook. And then, after COVID was kind of like got into commentary work because I just kind of started thinking then that, I don't know what I'm going to do now. Like I still had Billabong as a sponsor, but then there wasn't any opportunity for big wave surfing. There was no events. There was nothing I could really do there besides just chase swells. And so then I got into commentary work and I was like, this is really fun. And we started doing that together, which was epic. And I think that's when as well we started spending more time together.
Yeah, I think that those trips is when we decided, what are we doing? We're doing the same thing. Like it was more time together spent and just like having these big epiphanies and come to Jesus moments.
Totally. And then the next couple of years we started coming to Hawaii and charging these big swells together and then had that one amazing session at the start of last year where I got that wave that ended up being the world record wave.
Yeah. I want you to take us back to that day because we've got some fun photos and visuals from that moment and I just want you to take our listeners back to that day and the feelings.
Oh my gosh,
it
was so classic. Like we at that point we'd been staying together and we kind of decided we wanted to do that year together, that like do all the chase the swells and stuff. So I think I was an alternate for the Eddie actually, and I'd been asked I'd been asked to come down and sit on the beach in case someone got hurt, and I was like, stuff that I don't want to like. I hope no one gets hurt. Like I don't want to just be there. And
but you don't want to miss the day of the year in swell when you could be bettering yourself as well.
Yeah, it was the best swell in like the last like 5 or 10 years. People were claiming, and also it had no wind. And for me, I'm like, oh my gosh, having that no wind and being like, I guess for like having those conditions and being a big wave surfer, like it's
the dream.
Like, it's the actual dream. I kind of knew that if I was going to catch the biggest wave of my life, it had to be when there was no wind, because like as soon as that wind comes up, you know, it's so much harder to get into a wave. And I just was like, we needed to make the most of that morning with no wind. And so we got down there. Oh my gosh, Flick, wasn't it just insane?
Oh, it was crazy. One of the things that I love most about you is that you are like, you stay so true to yourself, and you spoke about it before, that moment when you finally were like, no, I'm doing this for me and I'm really like aware of my why. I know that there's so many young girls and women and men that look up to you, but I want to know who you look up to.
Oh, I look up to so many people. I'm motivated by so many people. You're one of them. You motivate me. I'm inspired by so many people in my life. And I look up to like all the women and men that like have come before me in this sport. But I think I feel like Chumpy was someone that I looked up to a lot, and when we lost him, I remember being like, I just got to go for it. Like we had so much time during COVID. He passed away. He was our beautiful friend that passed away during COVID, and it's like when we got the opportunity to go surf after that and the world opened back up, I remember just like picking up my big wave boards again and going, Chumpy, when I go out surfing, I'm going to be doing it for you, mate. Like I put his like axe sticker on all my big wave boards, and I remember that moment. Like oh. And I just remember like, yeah, I think my life had shifted a lot because I was doing the commentary and I was like, this is so fun. I've got another job now, and kind of felt like I was transitioning into that next stage of my life in, media, and maybe I wasn't going to really be a big wave surfer anymore. I'd still just do it and dabble in it, just for fun. But then I just remember getting these big yellow boards and putting that axe on and just thinking, oh my God, Chumpy, when I get the chance, you're coming, I'm going to be out there and I'm going to be doing this for you. And I'm going to be riding these waves for you, because some of the last conversations that we had together before he passed away, he was just so like, go for it, Laura. You got to go for it. Like, this is amazing. Like, we were kind of both in that same stage of our life as athletes, when he was going to kind of move into sort of keynote speaking and inspirational speaking. And that was at the same time I was moving into commentary, and kind of wanted to, do the same and just kind of give back and start helping younger people and sharing my story, and hoping that no other girl felt that way that I felt on tour, and ever felt that. And so we always talked about that, and the stress of and the pressure of competing, and when I told him I wanted to, I also remember thinking back when I told him I wanted to quit the tour and do big wave. He was like, do it. Like, he was like, his whole thing is like all in, like, go for it. And so that was the most beautiful thing. Like, when I caught that wave, like, I remember being out there that day at the outer reef, and I was shitting myself, but I'd never felt so calm in my life. And I remember I was talking to him, and I was like, I remember like when we were paddling out, I was like, hey, Chumpy, please keep me and Flick really safe today, and hopefully send us a bomb. And I remember being out there and just having this moment where I'd sort of seen a wave pop up, and just this intuition pulled me to be like, you need to paddle out there and across. And I just paddled out and across, and then 10 minutes later,
it's like that wave came to you.
Could have even been less. I just remember looking around going, oh, this is like a sweet spot. That moment for me, when I look back, it's like everything I'd ever been through in my career had taken me to this point where I was completely like in my body, where I was meant to be, living my purpose, living my truth, with so much self-worth and not so much confidence, because you can't be too confident when you're surfing big waves. You're out there with Mother Nature, and she can fuck you up. Send a rogue set at any time. You cannot be too confident. But then all of a sudden this wave popped up, and I remember going, yes, go, fucking go, fucking go. And I was just like, I remember just thinking of him and just going like, all in, let's go. And just like put my head down and just started like just paddling as hard as I could. And I just knew I was in the perfect spot, and it picked me up. And I remember I jumped to my feet, and you were paddling for it as well. It would have been sick if we caught it together. We would have got fucked up together and then got exploded. But we'll save that for the next swell when we get to ride. Imagine if we could break the record again together. That would be so cool. But I think
that moment was so special, right? It feels like in that moment you were connected to Chumpy, I feel.
I was connected to Chumpy, and I was like, I was connected. I think at that moment he was like, so proud of you, you've made it this far. And I was proud of myself, and I was, and I know that he sent me that wave. Like, I just know that he sent me that wave and was like, here you go, like, yeah.
And I feel like I've heard you talk about that, but that's a time in your career where you felt like, and we've spoken about it ourselves, where we felt like we've come into this industry as imposter syndrome a little bit, and like if we don't fit a certain mold, we won't be taken seriously. But you told me the other day as well, like that's one of the times when you felt like you did it all yourself. Like there was no one else behind that, but just you and like yourself, and saying, yes, let's go.
And I think that's the beauty of paddle surfing. I mean, we had Jojo Roper there that day helping us with like water safety. Shout out Jojo, you legend. And then like other than that, it was just us two just sitting on the beach going out together. But when I first got into big wave surfing and I was turning up to these waves, I did have massive imposter syndrome. And I look back, and even when I was on the tour, I started getting imposter syndrome going, you don't work hard enough. And it's just this self-doubt and this self-talk, and that should not be invited at all. Yeah. And, finally to be there and to, I don't know, feel like, I was enough, and I belonged, and I was allowed to be out there, and I was paddling into this wave with my own two arms. And I think that's the beauty of paddle surfing as well. You can go and surf these amazing waves, and I've had these amazing waves this year where I've been towed into them by a team. But I think when you paddle into it, it just brings a whole nother element of, you're proud that you could get out there and you know, this is a massive ocean you're talking about, and you have to find, like, play cat and mouse between these huge sets coming through, find your position in the lineup, and then be in the right spot and match this like wave that's coming from 1,000 kilometers away from a storm, like coming through, and match that speed and power and be in the spot to catch it. And when you do catch it, fuck, it feels good.
It's like the best feeling in the world.
Yeah, that's what we're addicted to.
Yeah,
and that's what we can't wait for more of. But yeah, I know that Chumpy sent it to me.
Yeah, it's really, really beautiful.
Yeah.
I believe that for sure. And he, obviously an amazing person, but also an incredible athlete and just so inspiring.
I remember calling Elle after and being like, oh my gosh, when I got announced as the world record holder, she was actually with me, and when I got the call and I was in his, oh my God, that's actually the craziest thing. I hadn't been up to their house in so long, and I went up and I was staying with her and her little daughter Minnie, and I got the call from the WSL that I broke in the world record, and I just couldn't believe that I hadn't been there for months, and then I got that call, and I remember just like turning around and I was just looking at Elle and just like, I was just like, oh my God, like it just felt like, wow, like just like a really magical moment. And we just started crying together, and I was just telling her how much like Chumpy like helped me in that moment, and like has inspired me and given me a
sounds like it gave you purpose.
And like I think we said in the first episode to live for those who can't, and like I just so wish he was here to see it, but I know he's watching and is just like proud of all of us down here.
Of course, definitely.
Yeah. I think that wave was like the most defining moment in my life. I mean,
it's so hard.
I think just because at that point in my career, I'd finally just come to peace with so many things, and I remember I've done so much self-reflection over, you know, this time when I moved big wave surfing about my career on tour, and there was times when I'd get like bummed about, oh my gosh, like I was incapable at the time of knowing how to deal with my mindset and my emotions and what was going on in my brain and my self-worth. And I wish I could just go back and just have a chat to that little girl and say like, you're going to be okay. Like this is just like, find that little girl inside, have fun again. Like, but also just like trust your instinct. You are smarter and stronger and you are enough. You don't need to be like, yeah, I just was so caught up in that stuff. But when I caught that wave, that was the best moment of my life for sure. And it was so cool because I didn't get announced for like 9 months later.
Yeah,
so
I remember.
I just got to like, and also I didn't think anyone even shot that wave, which was the other crazy thing. I remember for like 4 days after I caught that wave, I was kind of walking around going, oh yeah, I got like this amazing wave. It was like the biggest wave of my life. It was sick. But then that was the end of the conversation.
Yeah.
And then 4 days later, I get this like Instagram message from a photographer going, I shot your wave. And I think it was the biggest wave ever paddled by a woman.
So amazing.
And then he sent the photo and I was like, holy fuck.
That's a really big wave.
Holy shit. Send it back to my family at home and they were like, what on earth? Like you didn't say it was that big. But holy shit, that day was so big, Flick. How did you feel when you were out there?
Oh, it was giant. Like it was incredible. I've never been in an ocean that big with that much energy, and when those sets were coming through, like I was proper shitting myself. I was also a bit injured, and I was just
that was your first surf back.
Yeah, it was scary, but like I'm so proud of you for doing that, because it was so, like, I know we were paddling for that wave together, but when I just saw you on the inside, I was like, wow, she's dedicated, she's going, she's putting her head down. Like I just knew that I was like, well, you're going. Like I can't, like this was your moment. And one other question for you, because I think it's important, is you kind of touched on it before, but kind of want to go a little bit deeper into it, is looking back like over your career and your life. If you're going to give one piece of advice to your younger self or anyone listening, like what would that be? Or any words to live by?
I think the biggest piece of advice that I have is trust your gut, because your gut instinct is real and it pulls you towards things, and it's for a reason, and you have to trust that. And also, do not be afraid of failure. Mm-hmm. Do not be afraid of failing. Don't not do something because you're afraid to fail. And I think it's like, do it all for you. Do it for you and only you. Yeah. You know, this is your journey. It's no one else's journey. And love yourself. Love all of you. Love your weaknesses. Love your strengths. You know, I think because I look back and I'm like, as cooked as my mindset was on tour and as lost as I was, that same mindset as it had its weaknesses in competing on tour, but it had its strengths when I got in big wave surfing. It was like, I cannot believe this same mind can feel so calm and focused and connected and in the moment when I'm out surfing big waves.
Yeah.
And that same mind, if I'm competing in 2 Foot Huntington Beach, will be like fearing of like failure and like and overthinking and trying to like I couldn't find that calm. And you know, I laugh at that because I'm like, it's the same mind, and it's just in one situation it's, you know, in actually the situation where I could actually die or get injured.
You're as calm as ever.
It's like I'm calm and I'm doing what I'm meant to be doing, and then self-worth, love yourself, no proving to others, and have fun. Honestly, like you got to find the fun in it. Find the fun in everything, because life's too short to not enjoy the ride.
That was beautiful, sis. Thanks for sharing. That was like amazing. And I'm glad that we got to do your backstory because you've had like an amazing life and you're an amazing person, but you've had an incredible career.
Yeah.
So
and I think as well at the end of the day, you know, your career isn't like, I love being able to sit in this chair now and go, oh, I'm Laura Enever, I'm a big wave surfer, but that's not who I am.
Yeah.
You know, you can have your career, you can have your job. And I remember, I think just if I look back, that all got intertwined. Like who I was this girl on tour, this competitive surfer. And, you know, then I had to unpack that and go, but who is Laura? You know, and what does she love? If we take surfing away from it, if we take our career away from it, like who is that person inside? And always like coming back to that little girl has always been like, and finding, and that why is just been so important. And so I always try to do that now. Just, you know, but you got to, and I'm sure there's going to be moments for the rest of our life where there's just shit's happening. Like you said, shit happens. It's going to keep happening. And you always just got to come back to that little girl and find your way.
Beautiful, sis.
Love you.
Love you. Thanks so much.
First time sitting on the couch, and wow, I think my feet are like completely numb. Like I've got pins and needles. Like
I can't feel my left knee. I'm just like, holy, I was like, okay.
Oh my gosh.
I can sit here for probably half an hour, but
I don't know if we should do the couch studio anymore because it's a bit uncomfortable.
Yeah, cap.
Also, thanks for dragging me to the gym this morning because my big wave boot camp is kicking off and Flick is so motivating, and we got up and went to the gym and I was like, far out. It feels good to move your body like that again. You know, I've been doing lots of walking lately and playing with the dogs and traveling, but to get back in the gym and to...
That's good. We'll get on it tomorrow morning a little bit earlier, and then we've got the Eddie ceremony tomorrow.
Yes.
And hopefully we can record another potty not in the couch, but maybe another little Hawaii update before the end of the
Absolutely. No,
trip.
we'll do another Hawaii update for sure. The last thing I was going to say is I look back at, you know, my whole like teenage life, and I guess it was kind of more like into my late teenage years and into my early 20s. The thing that really helped me like the most outside of doing my own internal work was getting help. You know, the thing that helped me the most was getting help from others and getting help by amazing health professionals, sports psychologists. Like, don't be buying your own $800 course to be your own sports psychologist. Go see these incredible people out there that can help you unpack whatever you're going through. You know, had an amazing like kinesiologist and, you know, holistic health professional who helped me get on, you know, vitamins and things to support my, you know, immune system and my nervous system to really be able to regulate it and get that back on track and get that energy back in my life and that spark. And also, you know, Reiki healers, we've talked about it. Like my amazing Reiki healer, Anne-Marie, has been a massive help throughout my life. Just going back and unpacking, you know, these ideas of myself that I would sort of, you know, cave into and, just past things. And, I guess just talking to your friends and family, like you said in your last episode, having incredible support from your close-knit community and your family and being able to speak and, you know, pour your heart out to people is amazing, and it inspires not inspires others, but it helps others to feel like safe to be able to do that as well. And because we're all going through through battles and internal battles, external battles, everything. And yeah, most of all, be kind, like we said last time.
Yeah, be kind.
Be kind, because you don't know what people are going through and what their journey has been.
Thanks so much for sharing, sis. It's
Love
been
you.
so good. Love you too.
You've been the best support through it all.
Aw, right back at you. Been bloody good, mate. We're better off together. Been a good little duo so far. Thanks to everyone for listening.
Yes.
Please keep liking and subscribing and following us on YouTube and
Totally.
TikTok and Instagram, because we're really
God.
consistent on there and we share some great content. Lol.
Oh my gosh, how fun. You guys can't get rid of us now. Sorry.
Woo! Bye.